I typed the name Clarence Smokey Simmons into Google, and for a man who accomplished everything I'm about to tell you, I found almost nothing, only obituary. And that bothered me because I'm from Harrisburg, and if you're from Harrisburg or you're old enough to remember Milledgeville before it became the Milledgeville we know today, then Clarence Smokey Simmons wasn't just another man who lived around the way. This man helped build a community. Smokey Simmons was born in Haddock, Georgia in 1931, a little country boy who eventually made his way to Milledgeville and built what, looking back at it today, can only be described as an empire. And I don't use that word loosely. This man had a bus line, Simmons bus line. And I got the paperwork. In 1970, records from the Small Business Administration identified Clarence H. Simmons doing business as Simmons Bus Line and Simmons Union 76 service station. Now think about that for a second. A black man in Middle Georgia in 1970 operating a bus company and a Union 76 service station. But that wasn't all. There was a cab company, there was a full function garage, dry cleaners, beauty salon, the cafe, funeral home, nightclub, and even a large mobile home trailer park. And before some people knew Commissioner Simmons, there was another Smokey Simmons, the entertainer, Clarence Simmons, and the king of swings. He sang. And then there was the Moonglow. Now let me put that in perspective, okay? If you guys know where Big Bookie Bonner stayed at, down by Martin Bridge, that's where the Moonglow was. It was a club. So when I tell you this man had his hands in damn near everything, I'm not exaggerating. Transportation, automotive, entertainment, real estate, funeral service, small business, and then eventually public service. And then 1984. And that's where this story becomes Baldwin County history. Because in 1984, Clarence Smokey Simmons and Oscar Davis were elected to the Baldwin County Commission. Two black men, two historic elections. And I've got the actual State of Georgia Commission for Smokey Simmons. It identifies him as a member of the Baldwin County Board of Commissioners, District 2, with his term beginning January 1st, 1985. So when we talk about the first black elected county commissioners in Baldwin County history, I'm going to say both names, Oscar Davis and Clarence Smokey Simmons. They were elected the same year. They took office at the same time. And as far as I'm concerned, Baldwin County had two first black elected county commissioners. And Smokey didn't just win an election and occupy a seat. If you're from Harrisburg, think about those sidewalks from the top of Harrisburg all the way down to the railroad tracks. That's a whole lot of concrete. And people from that community credit Smokey Simmons with helping making that happen in a predominantly black neighborhood at a time when sidewalks like that were not running through every neighborhood in Milledgeville and Baldwin County. That's the kind of public service you don't necessarily have to find in an archive. You can walk on it. But there's another part of Smokey Simmons' history that hits differently right now. Transportation. Because 56 years ago, in 1970, Smokey Simmons already understood something Baldwin County is once again having a conversation about today. People need a way to get around, and everybody doesn't have a car. Everybody can't drive, and elderly people still have somewhere they need to go. I remember myself as a little boy. I could still see that big green, flat-faced Bluebird bus coming through the back projects. I remember that bus coming to pick up Mr. Chancey Washington, who at the time had to be upwards of 80 or 90 years old, right? And if you're from Milledgeville, and some of y'all know exactly who I'm talking about, Mr. Chancey Washington stayed over by Week Store, sold the skins, amongst other things. Now, I didn't find that memory in some newspaper archive. I saw it with my own eyes. That bus was moving people through our community. And now look at us. Baldwin County just ended 31 years of public transit service. Now think about that. In 2026, we're asking what happens to the people who need transportation. But back in 1970, Smokey Simmons had already recognized the need. He didn't commission a study. He didn't wait 56 years for somebody to explain the problem. He put a damn bus on the road. And that's why history matters. Not just because something happened a long time ago. Sometimes you have to look backward and realize somebody from our own community had already figured out that the need existed. And after everything I've just told you, I typed Clarence Smokey Simmons into the biggest search engine in the world. And damn near all I got was an obituary. A bus line, a cab company, a service station, a garage, a club, a singer, a funeral home, a mobile home park, a county commissioner, a man credited with helping bringing sidewalks to a prominent black community in the 1980s. And Google gave me an obituary. That's when this became more than another story for me. Because history doesn't disappear only because somebody intentionally erased it. Sometimes history disappears because nobody bothered to preserve it. When new media changes that today, we're going into the documents, we're going into the old newspapers, we're talking to family, we're looking at businesses, the elections, and the government records. Because when somebody types Clarence Smokey Simmons into search bar from this point forward, they're going to find more than an obituary. They're going to find the little country boy from Haddock who came to Baldwin County and built something. The businessman, the singer, the transportation man, the commissioner, the pioneer. And there's another name you've heard throughout this story, Oscar Davis. Because you can't completely understand what happened in Baldwin County in 1984 without understanding what happened before 1984. Oscar Davis' road to commission seats takes us somewhere else: federal court, voting rights, and a fight over whether black citizens in Baldwin County would finally have a real opportunity to elect representation to county government. We'll get there. But today belongs to Smokey, Clarence Harold Smokey Simmons Sr., one of the first black elected county commissioners in Baldwin County history, a man who understood 56 years ago that this community needed transportation, and now 56 years later, the Baldwin County public transit buses are no longer running. Maybe the question isn't whether Smokey Simmons was ahead of his time. Maybe the question is, where is the next Smokey Simmons coming from? Because Google might have forgot this one, but new media damn sure didn't. This is Lamar King Sr., investigative analyst, new media, where the truth would never be silenced. Be great today. Peace.